Hi, Stephanie Cook here, Director at Couples Counseling ATL, and I'm just here to share with you that I'm so excited. We've got another couples workshop this April coming up for the 7 principles for making marriage work. I'm so excited. I've been doing this workshop for almost 8 years now with hundreds of couples, and I've seen at least 1,000 couples in my practice. We've really loved doing this workshop because it's so much fun. It's a way to get away from the kids or your jobs. It's definitely a way to invest in your relationship and have fun together. And of course, going to a workshop isn't a day at the spa or as fun as going out to eat, but it's something different. It's a way to get to know each other better, but more than anything, it's a way to learn. What does the science and the research from studying thousands of couples over decades say, thanks to the Gottman Institute, about what makes relationships last, and not just last, but happy. Our goal in the workshop is to help you to figure out what the science says to make love last a lifetime, and how do you make your relationship really great without having to change partners, right? A lot of people do that for their entire life. They just love the falling in love part, which is easy. But the number one question everybody seems to have is, how do we stay in love, or how do we fall back in love when you've gone through a period of disconnect, or you've had a kid, or you've gone through some depression, or there's been something that has made you disconnect. So a lot of couples come to the workshop because they're going to get married and they want to know what will make it work. Or they've been married for a while and they've gone through that disconnect and want to figure out how to get connected again. And oftentimes they're in therapy already, or they've never even considered going to therapy. We've seen couples from all walks of life, all stages of their relationship. And a big part of what we see as couples therapists, especially using the scientific Gottman method and what we strive to teach in the workshop, is that in the beginning of almost all relationships where you've fallen in love, there was a lot of passion and you gave each other your full attention. And there was also usually some feelings of magic that you just can't wait to see each other. And this is how human attachment works. It's how we get connected and stay connected. But science really has shown us that falling in love stage really wears off, and people often feel disenchanted because they think that's something that they're supposed to stay in, like this state of limerence, this giddy, basically state that our neuroscience also tells us is really not something that can be maintained. It's a chemical cocktail meant to help us fall in love, but it would be horrible if we stayed in that state of mind because we wouldn't get anything done. We would just stare stupidly into each other's eyes. So in order to have a great relationship and still feel connected, most couples have to figure out how to find strategies to keep some love alive. Again, not the initial falling in love stage, but you have to be dedicated to making effort. And it's not sexy. It's not what rom-coms or fairy tales or porn teaches us, that it should just happen and it should be magic and it should be automatic. It really does take effort. And so the secret that the Gottman Institute has taught us that's science-based is that we've studied these couples and we've observed them, not just in their state of being in love, but also working through problems and going through different difficulties over time. And the Gottmans found how you can predict whether or not a couple's going to stay together happily, or if they're going to get divorced and when they're going to get divorced, or if they're going to stay together but just stay together miserably, with 95% accuracy. And that's just with a 15-minute conversation about an area of conflict. But it's taken really 40 years of research watching couples and being able to observe what makes some couples really have those happy long-term relationships and put them under a microscope to follow them and find that there really are some time-tested behaviors and recipes that can be taught to other couples to really turn the ship around, even if you didn't know what you were doing wrong. John and Julie Gottman noticed that one of the first casualties of long-term relationships is the fun and the passion that goes out the window. It starts to disappear. We all get caught up in life and busyness and logistics and raising children or building your career, and it's so easy to just lose touch with each other. And with conflict that inevitably comes as well, not just disconnect, we also know that these happy couples who stay together really have conflict just as much as unhappy couples. But it's really how they learned to talk about problems that really made the difference. That's another big part of the workshop, is not only teaching the importance of fun and how to stay good friends, but also how to have healthy conflict and what makes. And then an important thing to note too is that a lot of the couples that come to our workshop do have children or are thinking about children. And we know from the research also that having kids really changes the course of your relationship. And many of us really want to have children. I have 3, my husband and I have 3, and they're amazing and we love them and we wouldn't change it for the world. But we also know just how much harder and how much stress that puts on a relationship. And so if you're going to make a relationship work, especially if you choose to have children, we've discovered through the research that, in 70% of the relationships, once you bring your baby home, satisfaction in your relationship really goes down more than any other time in your life. There's a 30% of couples who this doesn't happen to, where having kids does not make their relationship satisfaction plummet. And so there's a big difference between the ways that couples treat each other and how they pair up as a team when they have children versus the unhappy couples. So in the workshop, we really like to talk about just, again, what the research says about keeping love alive, especially through having children or sickness, the inevitable bumps along the road, and what most couples are going to face, especially today with all of the screen time and technologies that are vying for our attention. And then whether it's television or video games, it's not just affairs anymore that are the reason people come in for therapy. A lot of people just lose touch because they stop talking and they stop connecting and they stop having fun together. So it's really important, whether you've been struggling for a while or you just really are starting out your relationship and want to know how to make a difference, that as long as you're still together and you're both committed to one another, you can learn how to have a happier relationship, how to become more connected and stay connected, how to repair and have conflict when you disagree, how to have healthy communication that leaves both of you feeling heard and loved and connected. And there's so much that we know from the research about defensiveness and stonewalling or shutting down or being critical and coming out of the gate really hot when you bring up an issue that really get in the way for couples. And those are just some of the key takeaways from the workshop, are very practical communication strategies, but also in the workshop, there's just a lot of talking about how to improve your friendship and closeness and intimacy and passion, and how to really work through prioritizing the relationship, either again if you've lost it or moving forward if you're just starting out and getting married soon. I hope that regardless of where you are in your relationship and regardless of how many problems you've had or not had, that if you really want to connect with your partner and learn together and have some fun, that you'll consider coming to our next workshop in April. And we always have at least 1 or 2 every year. And I love leading this. It's so much fun. And I love walking around the room when couples break out and to do their exercises together with some privacy. I offer my help, and we have a nice mixture of lectures along with practicing the skills and learning the skills, and then asking questions and making sure that everyone walks away really having a great understanding of what the research says on happy relationships and how to apply that very practically to your own relationship. If you have any questions at all, feel free to reach out to us. You can email info@counselingatl.com, or you can call us at 678-999-3390. And you can also register for the workshop online at counselingatl.com. Thanks so much, and I look forward to meeting you.